Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. How you guys doing? It has been a wild and crazy week, and I see some comments in there. Hope Lewis, energy has been intense. Yes. It certainly has been intense. Do you know how many people I have like texting me and messaging me and asking if they're the only ones that feel this energy? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Things are so intense right now. It's just like France, It's like France. You look at what's going on in France right now. I mean, you could feel the energy. There's this sense of something in the air, and it's pretty wild. There are those saying that this is the beginning of a revolution. So is this the beginning of a revolution in France? Maybe is it the beginning of a worldwide revolution of sorts? It's pretty wild what we're seeing going on. And there's just all sorts of strange things going on as well. Very, very odd things going on. Just, I was going to share this basically tomorrow, but this gentleman, Rear Admiral Scott Sterney, so he was found dead, and so he's not very old, and he was found dead in Bahrain, and it's just another one of those weird things going on. Is it just natural causes? It could be. You don't know, but there's just so much going on militarily in the world right now. There's so many rumors going on. It's just incredible. And there's an electric feeling. That is so true, Robert. France, Belgium, Norway, Venezuela, as Don says, they're all going crazy right now. Or we could add Argentina, perhaps, and will we be adding the U.S.? It's very, very interesting, what we're feeling and sensing. Matt says he slept about 15 hours last week each day. And there are those cycles, I think, that we go through where we just need to sleep, and reality seems different. We've talked about that before. It really does seem different. And as the fifth world is talking about, it's a phase of the carbon to crystalline DNA process. And so, there's so many things going on that we've talked about too a lot. The fact that we're in what's called ascension, changing of the vibrational rate of the planet, and basically everything on it. And we have so many things going on as well. Aaron James says nanotech particles activate. Scottish Stew, Brexit is the big one. And then, yes, Kadi Glott says there are EMP tests at Air Force bases until the 16th of December. And there's rumors of some sort of big event coming in. Some are talking about a huge CME that they know the powers that be know is coming. Who knows what it is? We have, the newspapers talking about the studies showing that the U.S. is vulnerable to an EMP attack. There's all sorts of stuff going on. And, as Fifth World's pointing out, as the Fourth World ends, the Fifth World is emerging, and definitely there's upheaval. Thank you so much, Morganic Farms, Kansas. Thank you so much for the super chat. It is greatly appreciated. Peace and so much love to you also. And is there a topic you would like to talk about? What is on your guys' mind? What is the big thing that's really going through your mind right now? I'll share with you that today and the last couple days have been a day of speeding up reparations. The one thing I'm making sure of too is that I get my meditation time in, as well as starting to get back in some physical exercise on a regular basis as well, because we need to be prepared in every way. And we did some shopping, or I should say somebody else in the family did some shopping while I just kept working at the computer all day. And I appreciate the shopping. But just some other last minute items like stocking up on dog food. And yes, Zeke is in the house. And I gotta let you guys know too, Zeke, well, he has a girlfriend. we rescued another dog from the shelter, and she is a chocolate lab pit bull mix. And so her name was actually tattooed on her body. Actually, it looks more like permanent marker. But her name is Kala. And so we have a new addition to the family. So Zeke has a girl named Kala now. And I will get some pictures up for you guys too, I promise, on that as well. So that was one thing we've done lately. Also stocking up on food. You know, we're getting into that time period where you want to really have everything you need on hand. And thank you guys for the congrats on Kala. And yeah, they're beautiful, and she's beautiful, and she seems very smart. And they were saying that she was 2 years old, and then when we picked her up, it showed that she was like 15 months old. She's older than a year, somewhere in between 1 or 2 probably. Still has some things to learn, but she's an adorable dog. And so we are doing some last minute preps, you know, buying things such as, you know, outdoor propane burners to cook on just in case, you know, things go down, things like that. Got some heavy duty sleeping bags, just in case type stuff. You know, all the just in case, extra blankets, extra pillows, extra food, extra water, you know, all those type of things, as well as little odds and ends, you know, stuff basically as if you're going to go camping on a prolonged trip. And as Keith Henry says, the grid going down is the main problem because it can't be stopped: food, water, heat, and love. And yeah, you know, that seems to be the big buzz, all about the grid going down. And, you know, I've heard John X. Army and Mark Fugel and a million people that I didn't even know had channels that you guys are sending me in links to, checking them out as much as time allows and trying to do as much due diligence. There's a big buzz all around us right now. It's incredible. Yes, candles, batteries, toilet paper, all those things. Thank you, Matt. All those type of things. Emergency blankets. Yes, it's going to be a cold winter. Don't forget barter items. That is so smart. And start up a system of bartering with your neighbors and friends if you could. You know, really go out there and get to know the people that are going to be around you. And you know, you're going to be surprised. Like, you know, in the store today, somebody just came up out of nowhere and said, it's beginning to feel like the end of the world, isn't it? And perhaps that's because Lisa had in the cart things that were all about prepping, you know, such as propane tanks and things like that. So, you know, people recognize these things. And I think it's the collective consciousness is really understanding this. And Colin's talking about the asteroid passing us in the next 24 hours. Yes, there is one. It's going to come less than 0.09 lunar distance. So that's pretty close, and there's been a ton of them. RT99 says we can survive without food if we meditate and took in energy from the earth. Breathe area and give it a look up. I actually did a video on that in the past, probably almost a year ago. And I've touched on it in other videos as well. There's a lot of yogis that have been documented to be able to go for prolonged periods of time without eating. And I actually have a friend that does it on a regular basis. And as I've spoken about him before, he'll go a week without eating or even drinking water, which the water parts, most doctors would say it's extremely dangerous. And you know, you're only supposed to be able to live maybe 4 to 6 days without water, but he's done a week many times. And the one thing he does take is cell salts. And cell salts are something I would recommend, and I've talked about with you guys before. And what do you guys feel like talking about? So give a call in and let us know what you're thinking. What do you think is the pressing thing? There's so much going on. So much going on right now. As we've talked about, obviously the Alaskan earthquake, which rang the entire planet. And, we've been seeing that lately, too, with these great quakes. And, 7.0 we wouldn't really call a great quake. It's a big quake, for sure. But we've seen some of the 8s that were deep as well. And so I got to really question if that was really a 7.0. You guys saw some of that devastation up there. And it did knock out the Alaskan pipeline as well, so that's kind of big as well. You got to think about all the things we see going on. It's all very interesting. And the critters out there, all the wild critters, they know it is going to be a strong, severe winter. So we have so many animals in this neck of the woods. Really, we always put food out for the birds, and there's raccoons and opossums and you name it that have also been coming and just eating seeds and whatever they could get their hands on as well. So if you guys want to give a call, it's 614-400-5835. Again, 614-400-5835. So have you guys been doing your stock up? Have you guys been getting ready, getting prepared? And Don says everything's pointing to the second coming. Even the non-believers can tell. Planet XY, pancake mix, spam especially. I don't know if I could do spam. Oof. I have nightmares about that from childhood. Definitely. But yeah, there's a lot to stock up on. And basically, oatmeal even. Oatmeal is something that you could stock up on in bulk, pretty inexpensive. It will get you some fuel. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat. I totally appreciate it. And he says the end of America was when Columbus and the conquistadors destroyed America. And that is so sad and so true. And I was thinking about that, and actually when I was in meditation, I was thinking, and I'm going to do a video on the Trail of Tears, because, there's just so much leftover energy from the Trail of Tears, which started around here and ended up in Oklahoma. And it was, such a travesty to the Cherokee people, and the way that the Native Americans were treated was just horrible, completely horrible. And hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us?
Oh, hello, Michael, with Evolutionary Energy Arts. It's Laura.
Hey, Laura, how you doing today?
I'm really doing fine. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So what's on your mind the most?
Well, I was just listening to your Trail of Tears, which took me into another time frame, but that's actually not what I'm calling about.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely, it's been hitting me. The more I do the meditations around here, feeling the native energies and all those energies that have been wronged, really. And so, yeah, I definitely want to do a video on that, and then like basically a little prayer at the end, a little energy working for them. And so that's something I'm going to try to get done tomorrow. But what's on your mind, my dear?
Well, sounds like to me that the mass consciousness of everyone at this time are so-called interested in the end days, prepping, and I know there is a mass consciousness of everyone that is feeling this energy and feeling this wave coming through. But there's a lot of old ancient books that has all the secrets in it, and they all talk about this cycle of time. I was reading today Greg Braden's book on fractal time, kind of just reviewing it. And something that I found very interesting that I had forgotten is about the 12 constellations of the zodiac. And it says that it basically takes 26,000 years approximately for our Earth and the constellations to go through each zodiac. And that seems to be about, they're saying allegedly the same time as when the Earth can be rebooted. I thought that was very interesting because at this point, according to Greg Braden's book, Fractal Time, we are in that 26,000 year cycle. Now that's just only one book that I have read that speaks about end times and the cycle of life. I know that our consciousness also plays a lot in this role. I mean, obviously, that has been proven with our consciousness, because consciousness is obviously energy. But I think a lot of times some of the New Agers that I've personally met, I know they want to concentrate on the goodness and the love, and the concentration of the Earth rebuilding itself. Well, that will happen, but obviously there has to be something to start the process of this. And I think in 2012, when the Mayan cycle kind of calendar ended, was really the beginning of our cycle, of the ending, which the ending always creates a new beginning. So it's not really a bad thing. So I was wanting to challenge your viewers on what they think, what kind of books they've read. I mean, I just finished the books of Enoch, the Keys of Enoch, which took me 2 years to read, because you basically have to read the glossary before you can read the book. It
Right.
talks all about it. The Bible talks about it, as we know.
I think too, like if you're somebody that was a Bible student and then you start delving into like the Keys of Enoch and the Book of Enoch and some of the other ones that are out there, then it just rounds everything out and everything starts to just get so clear, because there's so many passages that you're like, well, where's the rest of it? It starts to say something and then it kind of stops, doesn't give you a full picture, and then when you read these, then you're like, aha.
Yeah, I mean, and the Bible pretty much explains it. In Matthew 24, when the apostles asked Jesus, what would be the signs of the coming of the Son of Man, which is really a new age, because basically every planet, has some type of a sun ownership, a sun spirit that comes to help the planets. When he told his apostles that it would be as in Noah's day, well, hello, Noah didn't go anywhere, and basically Noah tried to warn the people, kind of like what you're doing and what a lot of people are doing. But I think people are too busy living the material life, and they're not understanding. I mean, it even says in Revelation, talking about the trumpets, the angels who sound the trumpets, the ending of the verses are, let those with ears hear. I guess those are the ones like us that want to seek and know.
Right. And it always struck me too, because you're talking about ages, and what's the last words in the Bible? It says, and lo, I'm with you always, even unto the end of the age. So there you go. It's just about, it's about the ages, about the cycles. Some people, take everything and look at it all completely astrotheologically and just basically say, everything is about, precession of the planets. It's all about the zodiac. It's, all that. It's that, but there's more. There's so many different layers to things.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle, and we're like, we want to put the puzzle together. I think knowledge and seeking out these things are, seeking you shall find. I think it's a good thing. And I think that every so-called religion and all these ancient books, they pretty much tell the story. I had read part of the Colburn Bible. I don't know if you're familiar with the Colburn Bible, but
yeah,
it was written by the Hebrews when they exited Egypt with Moses. That's how old this ancient book is. And on page 46 of this Colburn Bible, it tells you all about this planetary system Nibiru, which at that time they called it the destroyer, and how it basically, they could see the stars moving and rolling in the sky until and floodwaters coming. So, you know, a lot of our life as a human being living this experience it is about the yin and the yang. It is about the spirituality and the science that goes with it.
Most definitely. And it's funny you mentioned the Colburn Bible. I just reread it like about 2 weeks ago, by coincidence. And I just wanted to thank Robert Culber. Thank you, Robert, again for your support. He just did a super chat. He's always extremely generous, as well as Keith Henry and Planet XY. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. It's really appreciated. And yeah, so I just reread the Colburn Bible, and it's pretty stark. Pretty. Have you read the Chan Thomas Adam and Eve story as well?
No, I have not, and I'll have to say I have not read a whole lot of the Colburn Bible. I got into a book called the Urantia book.
Yes.
And that took a lot of my time, and all these difficult books like the Keys of Enoch, and you know, I'm just such a seeker. I want to see what these people say, and you know what I tell to some of the people that are, you know, the born again Christians, and I love them so dearly because it's where I got my start. And I just think in the tree of life, all the branches are in different sections, and so are the different philosophies, including the religions. And I just think it all goes together like a puzzle. If we all just need to work together as a unit.
Well, I totally agree with you there too, because you know what happens, I think, is that dark side comes in and will just basically try to get us pitted against each other, you know, with half truths and just manipulations. And yeah, I got so much I want to share with you guys too, as far as some insights, you know, through meditation, which I always recommend to people. Just you got to go within to find your own truth too. So, you know, it's great to go to Bible studies. It's great to, you know, go to any type of service or you know, any of our wonderful religious institutions, but really you got to go within and take time to process things on the inside and see what really rings true to you while doing your own research. You know, it's one thing, because a lot of times what happens is people, you know, say the Bible and we'll take somebody that's church going. They're only listening to the pastor. So if they have the same pastor for 20 years, they're listening to his point of view, his interpretations and stuff. So it's always good to go and really look for yourself and then compare it. And when I was like so deeply into it, I would always have, you know, I actually had like 7 or 8 different Bible translations, and I would always compare them. This is way back before we had, you know, all the sources available on the internet. So I would actually pull out different versions and go and compare them and look for differences and try to see what rang true, and looking at the bigger picture. But everybody's basically on their own path, so you really have to be true to yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, basically, my encouragement to your followers on Evolutionary Energy Arts is to open God out of the box. Don't allow God in a box. Do your own research and you know, test the waters. Prepare. I think there was a metaphor that Jesus did tell his apostles about the 3 virgins, and you know, there was one that kept her lamp filled with oil and the others didn't. And the whole point in that story is to be prepared. And I think we should be prepared not only physically for our bodies, health-wise, mentally-wise, but we should fill our body with the spirit too, because if we only fill it with the food of this earth for our physical body and we don't sustain it with our spiritual body, then there's not a balance. We have to have a balance, and if you don't have the balance, then we tip. Whatever side we're choosing, it tips. Sometimes maybe someone can get too much on not the physical and too much in the spiritual and not come to.
Exactly. You know, and so we shouldn't get caught up in, you know, what really is just simply it's man's trappings and dogma, because as you said, we shouldn't put God in a box. God's too big for a box. That's so perfectly said.
It is perfectly said, and I had the experience I remember sharing with you back years ago when I was an insurance adjuster and so stressed out with hurricane claims in Florida, dealing with mediations and liability, and I started meditating for the purpose of settling my mind, and I did not realize how when I started meditating, it brought me into a spiritual realm that I didn't even think of, including my husband making fun of me because we are Catholic. We don't do mantras. We don't say "ah," "no," and all these sounds. We just pray with the priest or go to confession. So it was kind of funny for us at first. However, Holy Spirit basically used it as a teaching lesson, because as my husband entered my room to take a picture of me, we actually took a picture of, I don't know, a spirit. I call that an angel. I don't know what it is, but you definitely can see her in the plant next to me as I'm meditating. So that brought me into a different dimension. It brought me into, I guess, a faith-driven, like, oh my gosh, look what's around us that we can't see. So my point is, with these end times that we're going through right now, we all have to realize we are so surrounded by beings, spiritual beings of God that are trying to communicate and talk to us. If we would just sit, listen, and open our inner selves up, like you just said.
I totally agree. And earlier today when I was here by myself, I kept feeling something touch my forearm, and then I just let my gaze go, and I could see this really violet, kind of violet purplish energy. And so I know something was there, and like if you let your vision relax, you could start to see energy around people, things, animals. It's not really that hard to do. It just takes a little bit of practice. But this was definitely something trying to get my attention, and it was neat because honestly, I've seen colors before in people's aura, but this was so vibrant, it was amazing. Actually, it reminds me of the last video I did where I showed that not translucent cloud that just had such vibrant colors in it. It was just mind-blowing. Well, that's how these colors were. Yeah.
Isn't that color supposed to have the highest vibration?
Yes, yeah. Basically, like a violet is a cleansing, very, very high spiritual color that will help with the ascension process, really, and clearing out lower energies, lower vibrational frequencies. So it's a very high vibration.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Most definitely.
I challenge your viewers to really open up about preparing, not only physically but spiritually. I think it has to go both ways, and I do know some people that will say, "Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about." So, I'm going to be into the energy of just thinking fantastic things. I'm not preparing. I'm only preparing my spirit, but. I respect that view, and I do, when I meditate every day, always send my love to every earth being, every tree, plant, Mother Earth, because it is alive. But there is, Greg Braden is a Unity Church follower, and his book Fractal Time tells a whole different story. It talks about the whole cycle of life. So, you have to go with, I think, some of the science too that goes with the spirituality.
For sure. Yeah, and quantum physics has really given us a real good understanding of how the universe works. And you combine that with all the spiritual and mystical traditions, and it's pretty clear.
Do you know how Greg Braden explains the creation of how you can manifest? It was totally awesome, because he said it in a kindergarten way for me to understand, which some of your viewers may understand it. He said, this is how we create. It's so important with our thoughts, and that's why I'm reiterating the fear thing. this is what he said that science has proven. They took 2 photons, which a photon is a light. They separated it 20 miles away. They basically did something to one of the photons, and it affected the other photon 20 miles away. So he explains it this way in the body of our being. He said that what you think in your mind, your thoughts, and what you feel in your stomach, that solar plex part. Like when you fall in love, you get that little feeling, or when you get fear, you get that feeling. It's that solar plex feeling. Okay, so what you think in your mind and what you feel in your solar plex all converges and meets in the heart chakra, which is supposed to be 5,000 whatever degrees stronger than any energy field in your body. So as the thought and the solar plex meets with the heart, it creates a vortex out of your heart, which creates it into existence. And that is the magic that all of us humans have, that we need to try and start understanding. Very important.
Most definitely. What we're talking about there is quantum entanglement, because everything is interconnected. And that's why, energy work works no matter if we're in the same room or if somebody's in Africa and somebody's over here in North America.
Correct. That's right. That's right. That's why I met you. That's why I love your site. That's why it's great. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate it. And thank you for getting the call started for us.
Oh, very good. You have a great evening, and all you callers have a great evening, too.
You too. Namaste, my sister.
Namaste.
So that was Laura getting us started with a lot of good, interesting topics, so much to talk about. And yeah, prayer is never ending, says Ralph Russell. And we should always be in that state, when we're in that state of like Thanksgiving. And, just when you have that happy vibration and that thankfulness in your heart, it's so powerful. It's such a powerful feeling. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us?
It's Tim.
Hey, Tim. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, good. Good to talk to you. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, I wanted to, man,
Awesome. So what do you feel like talking about?
Well, I just want to be in the mix with kind of like what I think you guys are covering right now. My video on YouTube was kind of going slow, but you guys are getting into the nitty-gritty of really discovering and harnessing, knowing how to read the human life force, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, most definitely, yeah. It's tied into the emotions, too. You have to have intent, and you have to have focus, but it's really, for healing, that love and that feeling of empathy and compassion is so powerful and can heal just about anything. It really could heal anything.
Yeah, so I've been having a dilemma lately, and I wonder if you can help me out.
Sure.
I feel all the time so compelled to, always give people that positive energy and, reiterate to people, thoughts become things. The more positive that you breathe inside of yourself and give out, the more that will come back. And I've been, especially lately, in the situation where I'm at, been caught up in feeling such good energy and auras and seeing, such great potential in people. And then it comes to these points where I'm seeing these cycles of them, repeating the same flaws over and over again. And we all do it. We all tend to fall into the same kind of habits that could be harmful or toxic or bad for you. And my problem being is just like when I sense such a good, strong, positive energy and aura from somebody, and I want to decide to give them all the love I can, I always see or always feel myself, or in the back of my head hear myself kind of second guessing, and I want to know why or how I can overcome that second guessing of, is this person really being honest? Is their energy they're portraying to me really true? If not, how do I potentially still help them benefit themselves, or how do I pinpoint and know when or how to, receive and give back that energy that would help them. Like, so if I can give you a little baby story as quickly as possible, it's just the whole ranch that I'm living on right now. There's so much like little backdoor gossip and this and that about the other person, and it's just like, it doesn't make sense to me, man. Like, it's just like back in high school. It's like, I never understood why people are gonna, portray, that good energy to your face, but then, 10 minutes later, behind your back, their energy transfers and turns into something else that it could not even possibly be maybe conscious, or maybe it could be a subconscious thing. And do we all just have these cyclical cycles that we tend to fall into, and until you fully, surrender and immerse yourself in knowing how to give and have positive energy inside yourself to, eliminate all these negativities and all these things that humans like to do to, cause drama and other emotional statuses that are just, either depressed or sad or angry. And I've been just trying to get a better judge of character and a better understanding of how to know auras and energies in people. Because it's brought me to a crossroads where I keep thinking like, oh, should I trust this person? Should I not? Like, oh, I should give this person more love because they showed me more love back. But for me, I've always thought in my mind, treat everybody as equal. Always give everybody as much love as you can, and don't hold back. But I'm always still second guessing myself. Should I hold back? Telling truths or giving positive energy to this person because are they really gonna need it, accept it, and like it, and will it change them and benefit them to have them have more positive and good energy and a good aura for them to succeed and do better in life. And I don't know if I'm off topic here, because my YouTube video for your live feed right now is kind of lagging, but
no, that's fine. And it's one of those things where I think you always got to operate out of that heart center and the compassion center. And so sometimes maybe we don't say as much as we would have, in the past, because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or get them going down the wrong road where they start to make a negative feeling or emotion, that could end up building and make things worse. So it's one of those things where we have to just simply go with our intuition and go with what we're feeling coming off the person, but always hold that compassion and love inside you for the other person and operate through that. So, if you're looking at it from the point of view of, what can I always do to help this person or to help whoever I'm going to have conversations with, always want to be lifting up instead of, throwing energy that might bring somebody down. So it's one of those things that takes a lot of practice. And, I'm tempted to tell you guys a personal story, but I'm not sure if I should. But, my own sister sometimes will lash out at me because she thinks that I'm so out there. And it's just simply because she is so rooted in this world and this matrix and this reality. And she's got a good heart, and she's a nurse, and she's done that for forever. But every now and then she'll give me a dig, and really I don't respond anymore. And so when she gives a dig, I just kind of ignore it. And what's happening now is like she's basically getting nicer and nicer, and she's not really giving the digs anymore. So I'm not fueling it. I'm not going to respond to it. I just let it pass.
Yeah, when you're sensing her emotion and her aura and her life force energy that comes off from the way she talks to you, did you, like, I know this has been a lifelong thing because it's your sister, but did you try different, methods of approach before you really kind of more did the silent treatment and now it's finally starting to work? And I know everybody's different, everybody's unique, and that's what's so amazing about this life and this world and being a human, is that everybody is so different, so unique, that it's, for me, I find myself pulling my hair out because I'm like, I want to be so loving and surrender myself to just always giving out this positive energy, but it seems like I myself, lose bits of myself and my life force and carry myself down, because I feel almost like I failed if I don't, lead, people in the right direction. And, some people you just can't change in their ways. So, what you're saying, just leading by example and just doing what you do no matter what, and not giving in to that negative energy that's being given to you will soon be sought by that person who's giving the negative energy as, wow, maybe this person is, like better or more positive or, just more good than I thought, because, I don't know, I'm just a little confused, and I've always kind of been confused. I'm always too analytical, too over thoughtful, too passionate about things, and I'm just like always wanting to just find that happy medium and a happy balance.
Exactly. Well, that's totally understood. And like in that case with her too, it's not like I would just totally ignore her. I would just move on to the next subject, or something that's positive. And that definitely has worked way better than back when I used to butt heads with her 20 years ago, because that never really got anywhere and seemed to feed it. So it's the same thing when people attack you in any way, shape, or form. And so most of us here come out of a Judeo-Christian background, and if we really follow the example of Christ, when did he ever slap anybody back? Or when did he ever say, okay, it's time to grab the pitchforks and time to go kick some butt? He never did, never. And even that example of basically taking the high road unto death, and I have a really good friend also. We were talking about prepping, and we've never talked about like self-defense before, but it came up. And so she said, I'm not sure if I want to have a gun because I don't want to do anything that's going to damage my soul. And I don't know if I could live with killing somebody, even if they were going to kill me. And so that's a big statement, and most people will feel justified in self-defense, and it's something that by the law is justified. But at the same time, killing somebody does damage our souls, and even if it is in self-defense, it's still going to kind of haunt you. So it's just one of those things. But so Howard says, so nature is wrong. Well, it depends on where we're at. And, obviously there are, animals that feed off of other animals. But I do think that things progress. And I do think that there's different vibratory levels of existence. And as you move up into the higher realms, the higher vibratory, frequencies, you're definitely going to gravitate towards light, love, preservation of life. And I would think nonviolence, except for when perhaps there's extreme circumstances. And we could get into the Bhagavad Gita, because, that's another lesson which maybe a lot of the Christians with us might not be familiar, but many people have probably read it. And so Arjuna is basically going through this huge crisis because his cousins are on the battlefield across from him, and he doesn't want to kill them. And so Krishna, which is basically, the Hindu incarnation of the god Vishnu, and Vishnu is the preserver of life. And so Krishna is the incarnation of the preserver, and many could have equated Krishna and Christ. He basically says you got to do what you got to do, and there's a bigger picture. Because, we don't want evil to triumph at the same time in the world. So, yeah, it's those are very, very difficult questions there, and that's like a level up from what we were talking about with your question, but at the same time, it's the same energy, so we never want to give any sort of negativity like that the energy to breathe, because we see what happens. We see it in the streets, and we've seen it go crazy in this world with, so many things we could just pull our attention to, from the world wars and, everything from slavery and the way the natives were treated and the Inquisitions, and it goes on and on and on. So we could see how energy feeds energy. So we got to be very careful and cautious about the energy we put out.
Understood, for sure. And yeah, I'm just always trying to just better myself every day, and and just doing that. And it's been an upheaval of a battle, trying to push boulders up a mountain and doing that, because I'm never fully a believer in astrology. I was born and raised Catholic, but when I look into Leos, and I'm a Leo and Leo qualities, and very passionate and very defensive and fiery, and I find myself all the time like wanting to lash out, and I try so hard a lot of times, but many times it's almost like I can't help it. It's almost like my mind just triggers, and like I get like angry and say things I don't mean, and it's like I always tend to look back, even just like the next minute, hour, day, back at a situation where I would lash out, and I'd be like, that didn't solve or do anything. It didn't help nothing. It didn't, if anything, it just hindered myself and the situation I was in. And I just, there's something to be said about, timing, about how we use our energy too, because I always find myself seeing, if there's hesitation in someone's voice, or a certain tone that they use, trying to read into really what their conscious and subconscious is doing and thinking in that moment. And harnessing that understanding is definitely a hard challenge, because especially like I just said, for me, I'll do it all the time where I'll lash out and I'll be like, I didn't mean that. I didn't want to say that at all. It was just like fully almost like automated. It was like an automation that I'm just used to, because I've done it consistently through my whole life. So breaking those barriers of doing things like that is really the root of what I'm trying to solve. So, and again, it's just like you probably say, it's an everyday challenge, and you just got to keep pushing yourself to think for a second before you act, and make sure that your actions are in the positive realm of the quantum or the Christ conscience, and just being overall as positive as you can be.
And there's been a lot of good comments while you were just talking. Fifth World said that those things that are happening are kind of like when timelines are changing, and what's coming to me is the fact that you are becoming fully self-aware. You're understanding the higher self, the bigger self, the self that is like lost by most of us, and then most of us don't even ever recognize it. We're totally wrapped up in ego, and we're just basically living in a survival mode, so much of the time. But you're seeing the bigger picture, feeling the bigger picture, and so you really are becoming completely what we would say in the Vedic traditions, and also in Buddhic, you're self-aware. You're just changing, and that's part of the ascension process. And one of our other people in our chat room, Sylvain, was asking, how old are you, Tim?
26.
26. Okay. They were just wondering, but there's a lot of people that definitely understand what you're going through, and it is a process of our personal evolution, and so many people view that word in a negative light, but there's nothing negative about it, because everything changes, everything evolves, and we evolve, our consciousness evolves and changes, and so you're a perfect example of that. So thank you, my brother, so much for the call, and I hope that it was good for you and you got some things out of it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I really appreciate you, Michael. I've been trying to follow you as much as I can, because I know that every time I listen to you and watch your videos, you are just open, honest, and true, and that's what I feel like we all need to be. And it's depressing thinking that people every day, all the time, aren't trying to do that. They're just caught up in their cycle of their day to day, and they don't want to reach out. They don't want to help. They don't. But then again, my thought process always on these things is like, the universe isn't meant to be fully one way. Obviously, there's never going to be a total dystopia or a total utopia. Yin and yang. So it's another thing. In my head, I always try to think, maybe this negative energy was put into my life, so I could see how to either, take that in and give back, the positive energy to change that energy, or let it bypass and work itself out. Because in the end of the day, we all need to personally, work on ourselves to create a better conscience, a better state of mind, a better living, I guess, in the simplest way of saying it, for ourselves. And I just always just want to give my love out so much, and I tend to spread myself out too thin, and that's most of the time why I've gotten hurt in my life, is because I just sometimes judge characters super well, and other times I'll think that somebody's totally one way and totally positive and on board with me, and then the next thing you know, I figure out that they're just putting on a front and trying to distract and lure me and or themselves from the truth, and that's just really getting to the roots of positive thinking and ascending yourself to become better in whichever way, shape, or form you see fit: body, mind, soul, spirit. So I didn't mean to distract you guys from your main points, Michael, but thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Can I still listen in through the phone, or are you only going to be able to keep doing the live stream on YouTube?
You could keep listening through YouTube. We'll probably go about 2 hours altogether.
Awesome. Well, hopefully my YouTube starts working. Thank you so much for your time, Michael, and I hope to really keep in touch, and one day, come out and meet you and really get hands-on more with understanding Reiki and learning how to heal.
I look forward to that, my brother, and we'll make it happen.
Yes, we will.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So that was a great call there, and that was Tim, and he's down in Florida, and obviously a really good guy, and great call. Lots of great points were touched on. And let's see, who do we have here next? Hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hi, my name's Carol, and first of all, I just wanted to thank you for the peace that you bring and that you give for your videos. My husband and I appreciate it a lot.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy them, Carol, and thank you for being part of our family.
Yes, and I wanted to talk to you about witchcraft, and I'm not trying to give any power to any darkness. However, I just sent you an email with some pictures of my eye. Yesterday, early morning, I was having a nightmare, if you will, but it was real, and I was mourning, and I was wailing in my sleep, and Sean was trying to gently wake me up. And it was very real. So I woke up and my heart was broke and heavy, and I cried. And I was in a ritual in this dream, if you want to call it a dream. I felt like I was there, and there was my children were involved in this ritual, and there were candles lit, and it was very strange. Like, I didn't want to be there. I knew that it wasn't right, or whatever was going on. And so when I woke up, he drives for a living, and I ride with him. Well, I got up and I kind of processed the whole thing and got over the sadness of it a little bit. And I went into the truck stop. I went to the restroom, and I looked at my eye, and I sent you pictures of it. But it was like, I felt like something happened to me, really happened to me in my consciousness while I was sleeping, because my eye was bloodshot red just in one corner, and it just happened after all this, while I was asleep. And it almost looks like there's a hole in my eye, like a puncture. So I just wanted, I don't know, like, I'm a spiritual person. I love the Lord. I love His Son, Yeshua. And I try to give out love and positive energy. But just like your previous caller was talking about, I struggle well with negativity, of course. But now I know what I'm up against, so I've got to overcome it. But I was wondering if you could look at those pictures on your email and tell me, do you know anything about people? I've kind of contacted witches before, and when the Lord started taking off my blinders, I asked him to show me some things, and he did, and so I know it's real, and I encounter it. What would your not opinion, or how could you help me, give me some advice on how to overcome attacks like that?
Well, I mean, you could definitely call on positive forces, the forces that you believe in, because basically so much of it is really, it's all up to us. But there are positive entities that are always around us. And so, coming out of a Judeo-Christian background, I've always gravitated to the archangels. And so in the past, I've called on them and still do all the time. To basically, just protect and to guide and protect. And there's a basically my own personal ritual that I've done every day, probably sometimes 2-3 times during the day for like 25 years. And so it's built up a ton of power and energy to it. And it's very strong. So anytime I've ever felt anything negative like that, I'll do that ritual, and it does get rid of any sort of negative energy. So it's whatever you believe in, truthfully. So if it was, say, somebody that was Hindu, it might be Ganesha or Krishna or something like that. And for a Christian, it's going to be either Christ or God or the archangels. I do feel personally working with the angelic forces is very it feels good and satisfying to me, and I've also had a lot of really good success with it. And it's something that goes back to when I was 5 years old. I was praying at the side of the bed every single night. So it just comes so natural. Now you could use light as well, like if you're talking about witchcraft and Wicca. Basically you would call on the quarters, which are basically like there's elemental energies that they might call on, and they might use white light for protection. There's all different techniques you could use, but what's important is it's something that really vibrates and resonates with you. So if you are from a Christian background, I would basically call on the archangels for protection. But you could call on Jesus, you could call on Mary, whatever is that feels right to you. The thing is to not give in to the fear, and so we don't want to ever empower anything that's negative. So be self-assured, and be strong in yourself and in your ability to connect to Source, to God, to the higher powers.
I had a vision, and you're right. Thank you. And what the ritual that I do are
I think I might be starting to lose you, caller. Can you hear me, Carol? They must be on the road because I can't hear anymore. But just to reiterate, and some of you guys that have been with me a while might know that, okay, well, I'll cover this in a second as we have another caller coming in. And hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Michael, it's Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, how you doing, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry, it sounds like you lost Carol there.
Yes, yeah, it sounded like she went into a tunnel or something, just cut off. But again, that was basically it. It's one of those cases where we don't want to give power to anything negative, and just connect to the higher powers. It's really whatever you believe and feel comfortable with.
You're absolutely right, and I was going to bring up that point as well. Her story fascinated me, not just because I've been a witch my whole life, but there's just something about it I feel that I could help her with. So if she gets in contact with you, she can message me on Facebook, and I do think, if she can hear this now, I do think she needs to get her eye looked at from what my gut's kind of telling me. Because that sounds like a whole other issue that may have, it's not a coincidence, it's a synchronicity, if you will, but that's my gut feeling on that one.
Well, that's definitely a good recommendation for sure. And I'm not sure if she was going with the evil eye or thought of something like that, because that's one of those things that we've all probably heard of. But I know you and I had talked about other things earlier today. So what was really on your mind today?
Well, it's because I've been a little distracted getting ready for school, and I'm actually getting ready to record my first album. I haven't identified all the feelings that have been coming up the past couple of weeks until kind of since yesterday when things started slowing down finally. And then, I told you I was getting that gut-wrenching feeling, but it was stomach wrenching, not just gut wrenching. I'm like, what's going on? And throughout the week, I've been feeling kind of queasy. Sometimes feel like I'm going to vomit. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And of course, there's insomnia associated with that as well. Then Tracy, my daughter's mother, is and having a lot of ear ringing. So have I, but it seems like hers is more frequent. And I'm like, what's going on? And I just heard today that the Earth has been wobbling a little more than we're used to, and that kind of plays a part into what we experience with that seismic activity and the earthquakes. And I was shown a little glimpse of large bodies of water starting to slosh back and forth. On the surface it doesn't look like much, but to the Earth it's a lot, if that makes sense. You said, didn't you report on a tsunami warning somewhere?
Yeah, that was in Alaska, and we've seen that the Earth it's ringing and vibrating a lot more from these quakes that we've ever seen before, and I do think that we know we're in a magnetic pole shift, or at least a pole excursion right now, where it's drifting at a very fast rate, and I think most people that are feeling this can feel that it does feel like the Earth is unstable, and everybody's getting that feeling. I can't tell you how many people are hitting me up with different messages, emails, and they're feeling it, and I'll go check myself because I felt it, and I'll be like, okay, that must have been an earthquake, and I go and check, and there's nothing. And it's coming in from people all over the country and all over the world. So there's huge changes going on, and the wobbling effect is probably more pronounced than it has been.
And I think there's more to it than we're being told, and I think that's why I've been getting that. Not once in my life have I ever had motion sickness. I love being on ships. I love being on airplanes. I like to fly. Big ships, tiny boats in the ocean, doesn't matter. I'm great. But for some reason, for the first time in my life, I'm experiencing motion sickness. And I can identify it because of going to health school, that holistic health school I told you about months ago. So I was like, oh, I know what this is, and why am I getting it? And it's like something whispered into my forehead, the Earth is wobbling. I'm like, so to us, the Earth is unstable. To the Earth, it's part of a natural change. Well, it's natural, and there is something else catalyzing it. I haven't been able to quite figure it out. There is so much going on at once, which brings me to the video I sent you yesterday of the stealth fighter and the possible drone. The moment I saw it, I heard that we are gearing up for war, and this time it would be exactly what most people would envision, like a battle. That being said, I wanted to share with everybody to make sure that no matter what, we are projecting love and peace over the situation, the entire planet, even these, quote, leaders' hearts. It doesn't matter if you like them or don't like them. I think we would all agree, or most of us would agree, we want a more positive outcome than war, battle. So I just ask that everybody just envision that. Even if you just have to say it out loud, I recommend just slowly closing your eyes, slowly saying it out loud. I wish love and peace over everyone in the world. Say it as many times as you feel you need to, but put that energy out there.
Most definitely. That is so imperative right now.
I think most people don't understand. They think of war like, yeah, it's going to be fine. But I'm like, those trucks will stop coming into the supermarkets. All right. And that is associated with war. If you just look at history, food will be hard to come by unless you're growing it on your own. And that's something, regardless, I recommend people to start getting into as well. Because even if there's not war, there still is changes going on at the planet. Just like here in Omaha, it's been wet. So wet. There's been early in the spring. It was really, there's kind of a drought, and for the first time we've had forest fires out here. I'm like, that's really strange. But then it was just wet the rest of the season, and it's raining today. It's been raining all day yesterday and today. So
huge changes, and the point I wanted to make with the stealth was that you're seeing an uptick in activity. So
yeah.
You were talking about like hearing sounds you didn't recognize, and just so much activity going on.
It's clearly air traffic, but I can't identify it. We have the Offutt Air Force Base out here, so we're used to seeing planes fly over, but most commonly, or more often than not, it's just those gray airplanes. They look like commercial aircraft with no windows. That's about it. And from what I understand, speaking to other U.S. service members, if they're flying stealth bombers into Offutt, that means they're preparing and putting them on standby, because we have STRATCOM here. That's where it's located, is here in Omaha, and most stealth bombers are deployed from STRATCOM to go to the problem areas. So like I'm seeing these stealth bombers fly in, I'm like, what is going on? And then the night before that, there was a ton of air traffic all night. And then we're also hearing, the rumbling of airplanes kind of high in the sky. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sound. Okay, well, it's not last night, but the night before. It sounded like that sound was a lot lower, but it drug on for maybe almost half an hour. It didn't fluctuate in volume, except for at the beginning and at the end. So I'm like, so I don't know if they're just flying around or what the deal is, but just for that long. And they've been flying really low too, coming in.
Well, that stealth looked like it was only, I don't know, 300 feet up, something like that, maybe.
Oh yeah, you could take a slingshot and fling a rock at it. You'd hit it.
Wow.
And it totally caught us by surprise. We're getting ready to get on the freeway, head downtown, and Tracy looked to her left, and we both kind of flinched because we didn't know how low it was coming down. So it was easy to get a photo, except for through the trees. But yeah, it's been past few nights. It's really picked up in traffic, but for the past week, there has been something going on. So.
And there is apparently many different generations besides the B2, and some of the ones, like the one that Netsaya saw out there in California, he said it was just cruising along at like 15 to 20 miles an hour, which I don't think a B2 could do. I mean,
how could you stay in the air?
Right, how could you stay in the air? So they must be using some sort of anti-gravity propulsion. And that's kind of like the point that I was trying to make, is I think they're starting to show us some of the higher tech that's out there. And but anyway, there is definitely a lot of things going on, like you said. That the air traffic that's been around is unusual, and there's a lot of people hearing weird sounds too coming from the sky that they can't really identify.
And I had many friends in the Air Force, and they help me identify these things, and many friends share things with me that isn't commonly known to the public, and I'm going to share one piece with you all right now. So I'm not going to say any names just to protect this person, but a friend came back into town, and he doesn't normally unless he's just nearby, because he's a pretty busy guy, but this time he just came back into town just to see me, and I was kind of surprised, but still happy to see him. And we sat down, had breakfast. We talked kind of for a little bit and had our breakfast. And he just kind of stopped. And I've never seen fear in this man's face in my entire life. And I'm like, all right, so what is wrong? And he just swallowed really hard. And he said, if he used the word beware, he did stay away from the Arizona and Nevada deserts, and he quoted an event called Red Flag. I guess he mentioned that because he knew at one time I had planned to move to Arizona, and he thought he would share that information with me, and kind of had that inner feeling not to ask any more questions, just listen to what he's saying, and that was the end of the conversation, and we proceeded like it wasn't even talked about.
Operation Red Flag?
Yeah, it was called a Red Flag event. That's what he quoted. And I recently, at another job I had over the summer, I spoke to an ex-Air Force officer, and I asked her about that. She said, yeah, it's a real thing. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Just stay away. So it is known about, at least within the Air Force. And it kind of made sense too, because Union Pacific rail lines run through Nebraska, and the world's biggest train classification is in North Platte, Nebraska. And it was at the summer of 2016. There was one of those trains hauling military equipment to the southwestern desert. A classmate of mine at the holistic health school I told you about lived in North Platte at the time, and she told me about it, and she had pictures and everything. And just shortly after that, another train, very long, hauling all types of military equipment, Humvees, medical ambulances, so on and so forth, that showed up in Denver too. And last year, I was browsing around Google Maps in Tucson, Arizona, and I saw one of those trains hauling military equipment up to the northern deserts of Arizona and southern Nevada. So it's like all this equipment is being brought into that area, and I don't really know why.
Well, that's interesting. I do see there's an exercise, Red Flag, which is a 2-week advanced aerial combat training exercise held several times a year, and it's all about air-to-air combat, and it does bring up Nevada and Alaska as usual places that it's held. That's exercise, Red Flag. Interesting. There's definitely a lot of unusual activity going on. I mean, we saw, well, maybe you guys didn't, but I think it was John X Army, or was it Marfugel, that was showing the movement of military hardware into Texas. It's one of those two guys. And there's just been so much. I've gotten so many emails and messages from people in different areas, all talking about military movement and equipment movement. So it does feel most definitely like there's something up.
Yeah, and something has been. I've spoken to people before about this, and they've all said kind of the same thing. Like, man, I can't imagine U.S. soldiers, using that against the public. I'm like, I don't think that's the intention, because I think most U.S. soldiers, they're conditioned to believe that they're fighting for America and freedom, and that's wonderful. I'm not putting them down. They feel they're fighting for a good cause, and I think that's beautiful, and I appreciate it. Unfortunately, not to their knowledge, that may not be what's going on. So I'm like, whoever that equipment is for may not be for those soldiers. And a lot of them, they get treated poorly anyway, so I doubt they're going to do any large entity or a government a big favor, like take over the U.S. and harm people. Unless they're going to stage something and make it look like something that it's not. Like, I don't know if I told you about those prophetic dreams I've had about the holographs in the sky.
I think I remember you mentioning about them a while back.
Well, I'll just tell you one briefly, because you probably have other callers, but I'm a working musician, and in this dream, this happened in 2015, I think. In the dream, I moved back from Arizona for reasons I don't know why. I didn't even know I was moving to Arizona, but in the dream, I moved back from Arizona, and I bought like a historical home in Omaha metropolitan area, and I was having a housewarming party. A bunch of my friends were welcoming me home, and it was at night, and all of a sudden we hear fighter jets flying overhead and loud bomb crashes, and we look outside, and what we see, it looks like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars, but not with those edges. It had more round edges, but you could see through it. It was almost transparent. The only thing that was very clear was the lights, and it looked like it was just a transparent holograph in the sky. And now you could hear bomb crashes or explosions, but you can't see them. There's no smell, there's no fire anywhere, but you do see fighter jets flying over by. That was it. And then all of a sudden, in this entire neighborhood that I was in was being evacuated at gunpoint by soldiers. I don't know what they were, U.S. or what. They came up to my house and took everybody out, and it started raining, and there was only 2 soldiers per house, and all my friends were lined up at the van, and I ducked and rolled under the van, and my friends saw me, didn't say anything, soldiers didn't see anything, so they just loaded everybody up and drove off. And then I grabbed a bug-out bag and I went to the mountains, and that was the end of the dream. But I thought that was very interesting. Then after that, I had heard about a project called Project Bluebeam, which is supposed to project holographs in the sky. Which you probably heard of that one, right?
Oh yeah. And I almost wonder if it's like one of those things that's going to give us exactly the opposite thought that is intended, if you know what I mean. So that when we look up in the sky, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to believe it, but maybe something will be real. We know it's coming. I mean, I've shared with everybody too my dreams. I've had, I'd say, at least 4, if not 5, World War III type dreams where the U.S. is invaded. Clearly, they've stuck in my head clearly. And in the dreams, I remember people saying that they were coming up through Florida, like they were in the Everglades, the troops, and like around, Homestead and around Naples, moving their way up through Florida. They'd also come in through the Mexican border, and they were also pouring in from Alaska. Like there was a lot that were already in Alaska. And so they were coming in, from all over. And in my dream, I actually saw like helicopters in the clouds and, troops just piling down and out of them. And it was, pretty vivid. So a lot of like what you have seen as well. And then I did have another dream too, where I saw countless lights in the sky, so many that it was just incredible. And I'm wondering if that was a meteor storm or if that was some sort of ET invasion or blue beam related. I don't know, but it was just that the sky was loaded with literally thousands or tens of thousands of lights that felt like they were coming to the ground or coming to Earth.
That reminds me of a glimpse or vision, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call them. Psychic, I don't even know what you call it. I just experienced them. Anyway, I was at work a couple years ago, and I just stop, and all of a sudden I can see out of my third eye, I'm looking through the eyes of a whole other person in the Middle East, and what they're doing is they're holding up a cell phone, very much like a newer iPhone from around this generation, actually. They're holding, and they're making a video of what looked like meteors falling from the sky, but they weren't falling like typical meteors. They were kind of slow, but they were kind of on fire, because when you break through the atmosphere, it burns up. But they were all kind of slowing down as they got closer to the ground, so they weren't just crashing, but people were watching them. Very
interesting. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of these things possibly come to fruition very soon. It really feels like it. And I want to thank you again for the call, Andrew. It's always a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us, brother.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, just once more, I hope that everybody can focus on love and peace no matter what. And if any of these things actually come through or manifest, please love and peace, and be rational. I understand we may experience fear, but fear truly is just an illusion. It's a projection of false ideas and narratives that don't exist. So, be rational, have no fear, have confidence and love instead. And if you feel you're not going to be able to do that when it happens, just start now. Focus on love and peace now.
Exactly.
And just that energy alone can change those outcomes. Some of them, I'm sorry to say, may still happen. But rest assured, beyond that, that's going to end as well, quicker than you think. And there's going to be brighter days. Even with the weather, I understand that there's the talk of the whole grand solar minimum, but as I keep being told, that is going to be very short-lived. Some people are projecting 400 years, and that's based on scientific evidence, and I appreciate that, but I have a feeling there's a different plan. It's all happening right now for a reason, so just work with it the best you can. Everybody, please listen to Michael. He's been telling people to prepare, especially spiritually. That's the best thing you can do to prepare spirit, or via spirit. Right, Michael?
Most definitely. Thank you so much, brother. Stay safe,
You're welcome.
and thank you for all that you've shared with us.
Yes, sir, brother. Namaste. Love and peace.
Namaste. And so that was Andrew from Omaha, Nebraska. And I know there was quite a few callers calling in during that call, so anybody that is hearing me, give a call back. Make sure to come in an open line, because anything that's like shows up as blocked or restricted too often, it's a crank call, so we won't answer those. Hello, my brother. How are you tonight?
How's it doing, brother? How you doing?
Doing good, Netsaya. How are things out there in California?
Very ridiculously cold, actually.
Oh.
Really bad. And thank you for that question, actually. That reminds me of what I want to talk about. But yeah, it's really, really cold out here. The sunsets are beautiful. The sunrises are beautiful. Is that even proper term, sunrises? Yeah, everything's great aside from that, except for some few little scares that I keep getting here and there. But I really don't want to talk about them too much. But I want to say hi to everybody real quick. And once again, just like last time, I want to start off by gifting everybody. Actually, I'm going to go with a different light today. I want to go ahead and do the yellow for the solar plexus. So if anybody wants to receive a little bit of extra love and light, healing energy, you don't have to see anything. You don't have to believe into this. Okay? As long as you close your eyes, you are in agreement to receive love, not just from me, from Michael and everybody else that's going to close their eyes as one. Remember, even Jesus of Nazareth stated, where there's two or more in my name, there I am amongst them. So, please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds. And then take your patient time releasing it through your mouth. And again, slow down that esophagus. Make that belly button touch your spine. Take another deep breath. And just picture a fine, bright light coming down from source, from above you. And it's creating a cord coming down to your spinal cord. Notice how there's 33 vertebrae, just like Jesus of Nazareth's death. Okay, there's no coincidences. Remember that. Use that yellow, all that yellow that you see in the screen right now, the little happy faces, that's the solar plexus. Very happy. Really, really is. So, with that in mind, how's it going, Michael? How's things going for you?
Going good. It's been busy. I mean, there's been so much going on. It's just been like trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy.
You were saying that you were updating, or what is it, to get more prepared?
Yeah, getting more supplies, getting more organized. Got like a kind of like a campfire tripod, with like a grill, a bunch of things like that. A lot of camping type equipment, things like that, and more basic food. Rice, lentils, beans, things like that store a long time, and tons of spices. So even if we're eating just plain old rice and beans, you could spice it a different way.
Not only that, guys, I know this may sound funny, but you guys can look this up. Before, in the past, in many different times of humanity, simple salts were currency. Okay? Cacao beans were currencies. So please listen to Michael, because that's the same thing I did. I started saying this, what was it, like 2 years ago, and people were, I mean, it was ridiculous, the feedback I got. I mean, and I was being more metaphoric. It was more of, you know, looking into, besides material, monetary terms, because, you know, that's technically an illusion. It's always going to be an illusion no matter what they decide to put as a currency. It's always going to be an illusion. What I mean by that is everything is mental. You'll find a way to have that abundance if your heart allows it to have it.
Very true. Very, very true. And I know you've been feeling a lot of energy coming from the earth. And so we have had so many people talking about this and feeling that, you know, the earth moving below us and feeling the changes as the earth is basically going through her ascension process.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yep, still here, brother.
Okay. Yeah, so I have a video that I would like for you guys to see sometime whenever Mike, where did that come from? That is so weird. I'm going to give to Michael so you guys can see. I posted it back in March 16th, I think it was, 2016. I just noticed, I think that's at 9. And it states what's really happening. One thing is, I think I heard one other person kind of allude to that. What's going on is we're shifting to dimensions. Okay, all of us, Mother Gaia, all of us. What's happening is we're becoming more Gaia. Gaia's becoming more we will be able to connect with her emotionally. That's the best way I can put it. From this point on. Now, if you haven't done your inner work, you're going to have a very, very, very hard time, no matter how much you think you materially, physically have prepared. Why? Because you're going to start hearing, no, not hearing, you're going to feel. You're not going to hear, you're going to feel voices. Okay? It's not going to be another's voice. It's going to be yours, but you're going to think it's someone else's voice because it's like, wait, that wasn't my thought. And it's going to be your neighbor. It's going to be your cousin that's in the other room taking a dump. I swear. And you're going to start thinking, people are going to start thinking you're going to go crazy. You're going crazy. Some of you are going to suicide. Why? Because you're going to do it to protect your family because I'm hearing all these voices and it's telling me to do this and do that. I don't understand. But no, the voices did not tell you what to do. What it is that's telepathy. If you've ever, oh, yes. The gentleman, I think it was before me or before him, was talking about the wobble. Michael, do you remember me stating something about that? Not on the show, but to you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I remember.
Yeah, so I have a way to gauge that. I'm almost 40 years old, and I'm not over-exaggerating. I have spent at least a third of my lifetime facing up. I'm not joking. It's not an over-exaggeration. It is possible. That's why I have huge neck muscles and huge traps, because I'm always looking up. So with that in mind, I find ways to measure the cosmos, measure the constellations for different purposes in case that one day there's a serious shift, and I still know where at least the constellations are, where north used to be, and I can kind of direct myself from where the sun is going and all these things, right? But aside from that, yes, we must go inside because we're going to start. We need to start knowing ourselves more. Even Plato, so many people stated, "Man, know thyself." The Oracle of Delphi, man, know thyself. If you know thyself, you know God. You can't know God without knowing thyself. Okay? Reason why they're telling us to know your temple, they misconstrued the newer Bibles to say get your house ready. No, I'm sure most of you understand that meant get your temple ready. Not an actual temple that you walk into. It's the temple that you live in. Get your temples ready, not get your houses ready. That's misleading. That's get your materials ready. No, where are you going to take those materials at? What pocket are you going to put it on when you transfer? What if you die a brave, courageous life? You still won't be able to take your sword, your little trinket of your wife's picture or whatnot. You see what I'm saying? So we're being misguided, and we have to go internally, because pretty soon even we're going to start communicating with Gaia. We're going to say, wait, what is this? And I'm telling you, it's going to be difficult for some people, and this is, that's what about the moon. Like the gentleman was talking about the wobble. I have a way to calculate that, right? And I see it in a 24-hour period, or less than a 24-hour period. It wobbles what it usually would wobble in about 33, 34 days. Okay, and even the wobble in 33 or 34 days, that was about 6 years ago, on down to about 10 years, and then before that it took a little longer for that wobble to happen. Now it's happening in less than 24 hours. Okay, it's wobbling an insane amount. And this is why the Earth is adjusting to these changes. Also, our core is actually reversing, because it may not be Nibiru, but there is a red dwarf, not a brown dwarf. A red dwarf is an immense, huge thing, but the density of it is different. That's why it doesn't pull us out of an insane spiral. But it is so huge and it is so far away. It doesn't emit light like our sun. That's why it's not going to burn us. We will be able to see this, people. It's going to be a phenomenal thing, and we'll be able to see it for a long time. We're going to have purple skies, blue skies mixed with that red infrared light that binary star of ours is going to give us. Okay? And yes, it's going to create havoc because of the magnetic pull that is going to supercharge the Earth. And in case you didn't know, Nikola Tesla has stated this, that the moon is not a twin, but it's a sister planet. A sister planet. Some people think it's a spacecraft and this and that. No. And maybe in another reality, maybe so. Okay? And it is possible. Don't get that wrong. It can be switched very fast. Okay? There's ways to move heavenly bodies insanely. Tesla, many different people have stated it about. If you guys know simple physics, if you find the leverage point, you can move any mass. You just gotta find the right level. There's actually videos that they show a man that moves a 2-ton piece of stone, that he moves it just using simple leverage by himself with a stick and another stone. I forgot what it is, but look it up and you'll find it. Anyhow, so we will be seeing purple skies, purple dawns. Remember that. Purple dawns, purple dust. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to adjust. If you guys been in Alaska or Norwegia or something there, where in the winters there's only so much daylight, but the twilight is there a lot throughout the day, we're going to be seeing that little by little, people. It's going to be like, for instance, an hour before sunset, an hour before sunrise, it's going to be purplish. Way more than what it is now. It's not going to be a phenomenon. It's going to be the norm. And we're going to see again what appears to be 2 moons, but it's that other planet. And like the gentleman said, yes, it's going to get crazy, but it's going to be beautiful because of what extra helium, okay, is going to bring. It's going to help us counter the methane, okay, that the underwater volcanoes are releasing. So please go inside with that moon variance that's happening. If the poles of the Earth are shifting and the pole of the moon is the pole of the Earth, please look it up from Tesla. Tesla is the one that calculated all this, and trust me, I know the other scientists, they will get into the calculations, they'll be like, wow, this makes sense. I don't accept it just yet, but this makes sense. But anyhow, the moon does not rotate, even though it technically does rotate in a sense, but we don't see it rotate. Okay? And it stays that way because for some reason, because of its size, it stays with us. okay? Because its pole is our pole, as odd as that may sound. Now, eventually I'm going to show a video to you guys where a gentleman did an experiment where those little glow balls, those little Tesla balls that throws the little electric shocks, he has extra charge to one of them. And then he puts the second one next to it. What happens to the second one? The second one gets charged. Well, the first one is planet. The second one is going to be the moon. Yes, it's going to create havoc, people. Not everybody's going to die. Don't be afraid. You that stay out of fear will not feel pain. I swear it sounds like a fantasy, but I swear it's just the way frequency and vibration works. And we are all energies. Aren't we all, 78% water? It has gone up, people. We're 78% water. Okay? What does the moon do to the water? It does affect the tides. But what is that other magnetary body going to do? Not only to the planet, but to the moon and to our water inside? We must be baptized by what? Fire, red. We must be baptized by water after that, blue. Blue, red, Kashina. There's all these connections, people. The blue and red energy are coming. And then when you accept both of them, meaning red is feminine, masculine, blue is feminine. When you, as a person, whether you're a man or a woman, balance both of those, when there's two or more in my name, there I am amongst them. That means you're going to be a super being. Your chakras are going to start activating even further without you even having to work on them. It takes a lot of work to truly filter them and empower them and charge them. It takes years of dedication. But just like some people have said, yes, pretty soon we're going to be able to, in a sense, quantum leap, because we'll be able to attach to the Akashic records, which is inside your hair follicle, inside your daughter's smile, inside your dog's smelly poop. It's everywhere.
Well, that's all pretty exciting, and we can feel it. You know, I think most people can feel this, even people that maybe aren't so sensitive. And some that are sensitive and gifted, then now they're feeling things so much more than before. So, you know, our senses are opening up, everything is opening up, and that's part of the big picture. That's part of why they can't hide anything anymore, because we're just going to simply know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where the time went, Michael, but I wanted to share about the biorhythms real quick. In case you guys don't know what biorhythms are, we all have them. You can't escape them. But from the day you are born, you get these biorhythms, okay? The primaries are physical. They last 23 days. The second one is intellectual. It lasts 33 days. Intellectual, 33 days. The number 33 is not a coincidence. And then, coincidentally, the emotional lasts 28 days. Women, does that ring a bell? Remember the moon cycle. We are affected by the moon and all these other planetary gravitational pulls. The secondary rhythms are spiritual. That one lasts 53 days. Then it's aesthetic, 43 days. Awareness, 48 days. Intuition, every 38 days. So what this means is, from the day you are born, picture the linear timeline that they fooled us to try to stay in. Picture that line, right, in front of you, eye level. All right. From the day you were born, you start off going up with the sine wave, because everything has rhythm, people, vibration, frequency, just like Tesla stated. So as it's going up, say for instance, we mentioned emotional. We'll stick with emotional for now. Once you understand this, you're gonna be able to do spiritual alchemy, and you'll be able to not go crazy with the shifts and really truly enjoy heaven on Mother Earth, a true home. So with the emotional, it lasts 28 days. That means it's 14 days above the line and 14 days below the line. And yes, that means above means positive, happiness, abundance. Lower that line, it means negative, bad of whatever it is, whether it's the physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual. Okay? And then with this in mind, the way you find this out, you can find any calculator on the internet. Okay, and then you can put in your birthday. That's it. That's all it needs. And then it will calculate your biorhythms for the day that you want to check it. So say, for instance, you're having a business meeting, maybe that has to do with buying new property or something in 3 months from now. And you check that out, and you see that, oh, it can't be on this Monday, because that Monday everything is low, and I might not function properly. I might blow up on this potential client or whatever. Okay, and this is how you'll be able to adjust. Another thing is the way you can adjust is you're going home from work. All of a sudden the traffic gets to you. You start going out like starting getting irritated. But then you think back and you're like, wait, I had a good day. I woke up good. I kissed my children goodbye. All this, it was good. Why am I feeling bad right now? And then you check your biorhythm. Only if the traffic is slow, obviously. You check your biorhythm, and then you'll see, oh, they're high. So that means these feelings do not match me. Most likely is that guy next to me or that woman next to me in that traffic who's stuck in traffic and can't deal with this. I'm going to find a way to deal with this. And then you can just turn on the radio and take your shirt off and start dancing. If you're a woman, don't do that because you might cause distractions. It's simple to polarize all this stuff. So for instance, I'll give you real quick the explanation for the emotional, how you can use it to your advantage. So emotional is this cycle tracks the stability and positive energy of your psyche and outlook on life, as well as your capacity to empathize with and build rapport with other people. The intellectual, this cycle tracks your verbal, mathematical, symbolic, and creative abilities, as well as your capacity to apply reason and analysis to the world around you. So you definitely don't want to do a business trip when your intellectual is at the lowest. You definitely don't want to do a boxing match, okay, when your physical is at the low, because the physical covers the cycle that tracks your strength, health, and raw physical ability. There's mastery, passion, wisdom. There's all. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on, but I do want to pass the mic. And I mean, I have so much more information I wanted to share right now. But I'll finish up with one quote, and then if you feel that someone's calling and we need to switch it because you talk too much, then we'll do that. And it's where'd it go? Here it is. Okay, so. To be idle is a short road to death, and to be diligent is a way of life. Idle. Wise people are diligent. Buddha. In other words, don't stagnate. You got to move. That's why, the East philosophers are so big in Tai Chi and QiGong and all those things. You don't have to move fast. If you would see my body, people, you'd be like, man, how many hours you spend in the gym? How many calories you eat? I only eat like 1,100 calories a day. That's it, if that. One meal a day. And not even a day. I can't even say a day because I go in like a 36-hour to 40-hour cycle. Okay, because I had the freedom to do that. I have created the life to have that freedom. But what I'm getting at is with that, it just supercharges your body. And if your body, which is the conductor, just like in electricity, Ohm's law states that the current through a conductor between 2 points, okay, you are the conductor. One point will be the crown chakra. The other point won't be your root chakra. It will be the chakra that's at your feet that connects to Mother Gaia Earth, that's going to be used a lot more from this point on. And another thing, I got to tell you guys, we have 13 plus 1 chakras inside of us now. It's not 7 anymore. It's 13 plus 1. Okay, and there's 5 outside, and there's actually more smaller ones throughout our entire body. There's 114 altogether. It's an insane amount. There's a lot of things that we can empower ourselves with, people. Simple intentions. The other gentleman mentioned too that if things go down around you, just stay in the notion, stay in the space of love. I know it sounds weird. It's like, how is that? Well, you can defend yourself, yes, but just try not to have hate, and you will see that no matter what happens, whether you survive the fight or you physically don't, you won't feel pain. You just poof. Just like in the movies. I know it sounds weird. It will happen. Your body here, your physical vessel will, bleed to death, whatever. But your spirit, it's not your spirit, it's your soul. Your spirit eventually ceases to exist after a certain plane once it crosses over. Okay, but our soul keeps going and can reincarnate in the fifth dimension. Some of us will be able to take our body to the fifth dimension, meaning right now, all of you are in the fifth dimension. But
that's the whole real thing with ascension too. And there's so many legends of that in Taoism, of the immortals, and as well we see it in Buddhism. We see the Tibetan rainbow body as well. And we had a bunch of callers calling in that side, so I'm going to let you go for this time. But thank you so much for sharing as always. And do you mind if I share any contact info, Facebook or anything? Because I have people asking how to reach you.
Yeah, it's fine. And I'm almost done finalizing the Soul Reviver YouTube channel. So yeah, for now, at least share the Facebook stuff. You can do the Temple Builders or my personal page is fine.
Okay.
But yeah, no problem. And just want to send more love to you guys. Thank you guys for listening and putting up with my silly squirrely voice. And I hope you guys got something out of it. And don't forget, you're only limited to your creativity. Pain is temporary. Pride is eternal. Fulfillment will last forever. One love.
One love, brother. Namaste.
Namaste, brother.
And hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
It's Gary from West Virginia.
How you doing, Gary? What would you like to talk about tonight?
I don't know how long ago this guy was talking about your feet chakras. I just started working on myself like a year ago, and I've been looking up on the internet for the last 3 days about thinking there has to be a foot chakra because my feet are going crazy. I'll be sitting there and it just feels like there's 220 volts going up my leg from my foot. It's vibrating. My toes are vibrating. And I just heard the guy talking about it, and it just I just logged on and just started hearing. I didn't hear all of what he was saying. I'll have to go back and listen to it all, but wow, confirmation of what I was really searching for there.
Yeah, those chakras are called the bubbling wells in QiGong, or the K1 point if you're talking acupuncture. So it's the first kidney point in the kidney meridian, and those chakras are always drawing in earth energy. So with me, I've been feeling that for probably about 20 years now, and it's an intense feeling, and it's getting stronger every day, every year, every week, every day. It just gets stronger as the planet's going up in frequency, and more people are coming online, and they're actually able to feel it and to sense it. So when you're feeling that, here's what you do: just relax. Maybe close your eyes. Inhale deeply, and as you're inhaling in, feel yourself pulling that energy in through those parts of your foot right there that are vibrating. You'll start to feel that they're actually swirling like a tornado, and you'll feel the rotation in them. Draw that energy in and visualize it coming into the body and going to what we call the lower dantian, which is the point about 2 inches below the navel, and that's where we store that life force, that chi, that will actually nourish the physical body. And then once that's full, it's like a reservoir. You'll feel the energy flowing up to the center that's in between the solar plexus and the heart, and that's the middle dantian. And when that fills up, then you get this emotional stability, and you have the ability to basically not fly off the hook, to stay emotionally centered, emotionally grounded as the energy there builds. And then ultimately the middle dantian overflows, and it comes up to the third eye point, and it fills the upper dantian, and that like fully awakens the pineal gland. And then you're able to do a lot of really wild things, especially as far as healing, and also as far as seeing and sensing things. And so that's what's happening right now in mass, really, throughout the whole population. And
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I heard that, because like I said, just about 3 days ago I've been looking, and I haven't found any information about foot chakras. Maybe I wasn't looking at the right places, but I still can't believe it that I heard that little piece as soon as I turned it on, and I was like, what? Is that what he just said? Wow, that's great information though. That's awesome, man. I'm glad everybody else will be able to hear this too. That's awesome.
Yeah, go to my playlists, because I have one whole playlist that's all QiGong and meditation, and there's probably like 15 to 20 videos on it in that section.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Gary, and it's a great thing that it does show you are, in tune with Mother Earth, and your vibration and frequency is rising, so that's a good thing.
Awesome. Thank you for all your work, man.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure, brother.
God bless.
You too. So that was Gary, and so he's really coming online. He's able to sense the energy now. And and everybody out there too, I do encourage you guys to check out some of my QiGong and meditation videos, because they're so simple and they will help you through this process. You really will. It'll help you get rid of and purge any of those leftover lower energies that you need to purge. It'll help you draw in the healing energy, and you'll be amazed. You could go from feeling wiped out and tired. And thank you so much, Morganic Farms, Kansas, for that super chat match. Thank you. You are loved as well. And there's a lot of love in here. It's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing. And so you could really help this process out so much by doing QiGong. And hello, caller. You're on the air. And who do we have with us now?
Hey, brother. This is my ex-wife. This is Quinn.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you doing, sir?
Doing real good. And thank you so much for your super chat earlier.
Oh, man, no big deal, brother. No big deal. Yeah, dude, there's a lot to talk about. That last caller was cray-cray, man. There are so many things to talk about, man. What's on your mind?
What's on mine? Actually, when we start talking about the energy, that really is what it comes to, because there are a lot of things we're going to be facing, and we might be facing all sorts of catastrophes, maybe even war, but ultimately it's really about our spiritual evolution, and that's going on right now, and it's quickening to an incredible pace. And as I forget if it was Nitsaya or the caller before him had touched on, there is the chance that, just like it says in the Bible, we may not all die, but we're all going to be changed. And there is even the possibility of ascension, bodily ascension. I do believe it, as being something that could really happen in this lifetime because of the energies, the quickening, everything that's going on. These are kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, in a way. I think we choose to be here. I really do. I think we choose to be here in this time period, many of us. And many of us came here in order to just stick our hand out and try to help others up along the way, because so many people are going to be coming online, like Gary, the last caller, he doesn't even really know about bubbling wells or the K1 point, and he probably just started learning about the chakras, but he's feeling it, and so he's really changing.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I can tell you one thing, man. Thanks for letting me on your podcast here. There's so many things to talk about, and we want to hear from you first. As you know, Bush died. There's
Yes.
a pole shift. Antarctica, bullshit. There's several suns at this point. There's pyramids, leaked videos, floods, fake videos. Man, there's so much to talk about, man.
Yeah, it's just, these are interesting times, right? Like that Chinese saying, may you live in interesting times. Well, we certainly are. These are wild times, and yet they're so exciting. And me personally, this is exactly why I came here, and it's the total reason for me being here. And I've known it my whole life, and I always knew my life would kind of be two lives, to a certain point rather typical and mundane, and then my real purpose would kick in, and that's pretty much what's happened.
Man, that's awesome. Right on, brother. Right on. There's so many things, though. All of us, and by the way, thank you for letting me on your program, but there's so many of us, waiting to hear you, brother. There's so many things that we can talk about, man. Hollow Earth, Flat Earth, name of Jesus dispels all, full armor of God. Look at the chat. Look what they're talking about. They pick on me about the, the moon made of cheese. I made a comment a few weeks ago. People have been picking on me since, man. But I mean, at the same time, there's this pole shift, and there's Antarctica, and there are several suns. We've been watching your videos. I mean, we're just looking for your take.
Well, these are definitely the times that we've all been waiting for, and it's in every tradition. And so, you could look at it like the second coming, and the second coming is really something I think that's going to be happening on many different levels. And it's really the Great Awakening is really what it is, or the apocalypse. You could look at it as the unveiling, because we're learning at such an exponential rate now compared to in the past. I mean, in the past we had to go to a library back in the Dark Ages, and you might get a little glimmer of truth out of one book here, and you're spent, so many hours on it. And, now at the drop of a hat, I mean, we have so much knowledge all around us, and we're able to talk to each other and learn from each other. It's just amazing what we can do now, and what we could actually manifest on this planet. So part of it is really getting rid of that old system that is outdated, and it's time for it to pass on as we recognize, what we truly are and what our real potential is. We have to manifest that, heaven on earth that's been spoken of. And it really comes from love, and it comes from within. Christ said that. Heaven, it lies right within you. It's not like you have to look here, look there, look up into the sky. It's right in our midst at all times, just waiting to come out.
Good point.
So
That's a good point.
The big battle, it is a spiritual battle, because what's going on energetically, what's changing, we really are going to be manifesting that. But we have to be very, very aware of the energies we put out, because we're going up in frequency, and we can manifest positive or negative much quicker now. So it's very important to always hold the highest emotions and the highest vibrations, and always operate out of that love and compassion center. And
that's a very good point. We have to be in control of our emotions, and give that good electricity, give that good vibration. At the same time, it's when we get the bad things, I mean, we have to. There's a leavening bread here somewhere.
Right. There is, and one thing that we can't fall into is really allowing ourselves to be fractionalized, allowing ourselves to be divided, which that's how we've been controlled. We've been controlled and manipulated all the time. Think about it. And I was having a discussion with a friend, and just even look at Christianity. How many different forms of Christianity are there? And so why are we getting caught up with the minutia, saying, it has to be a full water immersion, or no, you don't need a full water immersion, but you have to do this, or we have to go back to the Saturday being the Sabbath, or whatever it is. We get caught up in the minutia, and we argue about things that shouldn't even bother us. Just simply operate out of love, compassion, and live the example of Christ.
Yes, sir. It's mostly confusing, but you know what though? The Bible, is very clear. It's the only truth that we have, man. It's all we have. I mean, fuck religion. I'm sorry, F religion. I mean, you have to believe in the Bible. I mean, it's the only truth that we have. Religion is one thing, but believing is a whole nother cashew.
I think what we have to do is develop the ability to know. And the only way you're going to really know is to go within and spend that quiet time. And then also to get out there and to do some works and do some acts. Whether it's like good friends of mine last Thanksgiving, they're very blessed. So what did they do? They cooked a whole big Thanksgiving dinner, and they just packaged it up into a whole bunch of small portions, just enough for one person, and went and held it, gave it out to the homeless. And so that's what they were doing on their Thanksgiving. They were actually going out and giving back to people. And now that's truly living it, and they are, a wonderful couple that basically they meditate every day, and, they go to various services. But it's really about living the life and actually creating that change that you want to see.
That's very true. I can tell you one thing, man. What else would you be doing on Thanksgiving? But giving to somebody who doesn't have something. God bless them.
It's a beautiful thing, and living by example, and too often we end up arguing about semantics and arguing about dogma or, slightly different points of view, in which case, we could be using that time to just actually do some good. Do some good in the world and do some good for others.
It's about high time somebody does that. It truly is. It truly, truly is. Well, I can tell you what, man. Dude, thanks for your phone call. Thanks for accepting my phone call, and thanks for the listeners,
Well, thank you so much, my brother. It was a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, no, honor's all mine, brother. I tell you, take some more calls, man. I'm listening. We're all here.
Will do. Well, thank you so much.
All right, brother. Be blessed. God bless you.
You too. God bless. And so that was another great call. There's so much we could do. There is so much we could do to help others, and we will go for about another 15 minutes for you guys. Anybody else wants to call in? I know I missed a couple calls. Please do give a call in. A great show tonight. I want to thank everybody that has called in and contributed. We got to operate out of that love and light center, because that's the only way we could really change things here. And so we need to have tolerance for each other. We need to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and try to understand where they're coming from, and then take the high road where we're not going to allow ourselves to be pulled down. If somebody's going to try to take a negative road, we have to make sure that one of us takes the high road, and hopefully countries will do that as well. Whole countries will start to do that. Let us hope that starts to happen, so we could really get past the world that we've been living in with incessant wars. And so many of those wars are really just simply money driven. They're corporate wars, nothing other than just simply controlling resources and really stemming from greed. And all that is ego. And so that's the lower self, the little self. That's not the big self. The ego is not the big self. It's not the true self. We have to keep our frequencies high. Yes, Alfred, exactly. And Howard, says, ask the Protestant pastor about all the books. There have been so many books, and I know there's actually new finds on the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. And is this the famous Hope Lewis?
Yes.
How are you tonight, Hope?
Fine. I wasn't sure who to talk to or whatever. I just wanted to introduce myself.
Well, I'm glad. I see you out there in the chat room, and you always have a lot of positive things to contribute, so I'm so glad you called in.
Okay. I just get nervous.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous at all. Nothing but love here. So what would you like to talk about?
Well, see, I get nervous. I wrote it down. Okay. I just have dreams, and it's just, I know that I'm drawn here, and that it's a lot of good people here. I just mainly just want to introduce myself, so maybe I can just call back another time.
Oh, no. Well, it's up to you. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But, yeah, you are definitely loved, and you're definitely a good, powerful force out there in the chat room. I see you out there all the time, and I'm very thankful that you're part of our family.
Okay. I'm glad to be here. All right. Well, it's up to y'all.
Was there any...
I'm not sure what to say. I'd have to have a little, like someone, talking back to me or whatever, but I have been through a whole lot. I'm on my own a whole lot too. My girls are teenagers, and so I'm on my own a whole lot. I don't really talk to a whole lot of people, so not on the phone or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's understandable.
So keep to myself.
So what have you
But I want to change that.
Have you felt anything energetically? Have you noticed anything different about like?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a big shift with me personally. Good and bad, but like when you or somebody was when Michael was talking about the earthquakes and all, I know I felt that. I don't know. I felt at least three today. It was really small, real light. At least I think that's what it was. It was just like a vibrating, not like an actual earthquake. So I mainly just want to do what I can to help someone else, but I want to make sure I'm in the right place first, because I know that I need to be in the right place to help someone else. I don't want to dare, bring anyone down or anything like that. I have a little ways to go myself, so I'm willing to learn as much as I possibly can, and was possibly wanting to set up like a one-on-one type thing to maybe see what I can do to improve myself. Oh my goodness,
as far as like energy work, or you mean just like spiritual coaching type thing?
Mainly the spiritual coaching.
Yeah, we could.
Turn my thing off so I don't hear my own voice.
Well, yeah, I do that. I do spiritual coaching as well as energy work and distance healing as well, and going to be putting together like an online program for basically energy work. I haven't completely formulated the new program because I'm going to put it into a much more organized, structured way. I've done a lot of teaching of energy work one-on-one in person in different places, but I will be doing that as well. And we could...
Okay, or a group, either way. I just know the time is now.
You're right. It definitely is. It definitely is. Where are you located? What state?
Virginia.
Okay. Yep, Virginia.
Yep. Southern Virginia. I'm in Henry County. Well, Western Henry County. West Bassett, Virginia.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely stay in touch, and we could see what we could get scheduled between us.
Okay, that would be great.
And
tell everybody I said hello and all that, so I'm on here. So hello, everyone.
So hello from Hope, everybody, and she's a big part of our family, and we're glad she's with us.
I'm going to stick it around.
Good. Well, thank you so much for finding the strength to make the first call, and then I'm sure we'll hear from you again as well, calling in.
Yeah, hopefully next time I'll be a little bit better. So, all right, thank y'all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, Hope.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, how are you, man? Let me turn my volume down so I don't get no feedback on you.
Sure.
How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. My name's Craig. You might see me pop up every now and then as Jammin' Jammer Craig or Jammin' Jammer 7. I just want to let you know, man, I'm pretty much a new subscriber to your channel within at least the last 6 months. I really enjoy what you put out. You put a lot of good information out. I get nothing but good vibes out of you whenever I watch any of your stuff. I'm an over-the-road trucker. I travel all over the lower 48 states pretty much on a daily basis. I see a lot of changes, especially in the skies, the colors, the darkness, so to speak. I just want to know, see, I was born and raised Roman Catholic. When I was 17 and I left home and joined the Navy, that's pretty much the last time I went with the Catholic Church. I look at them wrong because they still have Christ up on the cross, and a lot of the trials and tribulations through past times had a lot to do with the Catholic Church and how can I put this? Enforcing their belief on people. I've been saved. I've been baptized in the water. I've walked the life of Christ and everything. It's all been really, really good. But there was a time when the divorce came. I looked and I said, God, why do this to me? Why me? You know, everything was good, and everything just turned like upside down. So I pretty much left my walk with my Christianity, so to speak. I've come to the conclusion that I'm not sure if I want to call the higher being God or Jesus or Yahweh, Enlil, Enki. We can go on and on. I've just come to the conclusion in my life, I'm 60 years old now, still driving. It is a higher power. There is a higher power, unseen, known to many by very different names. I just wish that we can all get along, you know. Everyone needs to come together. We need to get that collective conscience going. We need to become one upon this earth. Because Mother Gaia, as long as you're grounded to Mother, our heart beats the same frequency as the earth does. Our physical body comes from the earth. Now, this is my opinion. I'm not going to try and force my opinion on anybody else that's out there or any of the other listeners, because we all have different points of view. That's why we were scattered upon the earth. We need to all just come together, know that there is a creator, and I believe that's the Father. Our mother is the earth, which we came from, our molecules, our carbon, our water, and everything. Because when we die, we will go back to the earth. But our essence is I've heard many times, and I firmly believe within my mind, that we are energy. Energy does not die. It does not dissipate. It transfers. And I firmly believe that. And when all this, the big brown capital TURD hits fan, and everybody's eyes are opened up, it's going to be one great awakening. And we got so much more to look forward to. This life we have here in this meat suit is just at times mundane, at times lonely, and at times so very fulfilling. Ever since I started driving, it happened almost 2.5 years ago that I went into the trucking industry, and the life-changing event. Everything has been going up. Yeah, I'm making some money, but it's not the money that really keeps me driving on this. It is my self-satisfaction that what I am doing for the greater good. And I think I've finally found, how can I say this, my niche in life. I don't look at things negatively anymore. I try to look positive in everything and anything that I do. If I do run into a roadblock, I find a way to circumnavigate it, to get around it, to climb above it. And I just want to say, I love your show, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for doing what you're doing. And that's a beautiful thing when we're actually loving what we're doing and we're loving every day. And sometimes things can get mundane, like you said, but it's finding the beauty and the blessings in all the little things, and then sharing that energy, spreading it outwards. That's how we change the world, one person at a time.
Yeah, and one plus 1 equals 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8, and et cetera, et cetera. We go on, we multiply. We need this. We need this so bad. The government, I've done my time in the military. I know, things I shouldn't know. There's things that I've done that I still can't even talk about. But that's neither here nor there. We're humans. And this thing, I don't know if you followed Global Witness and Jeff Doherty and Rex and Diamond on this Monument Valley thing, but even with those guys down there and the movement that they had going on down there, I could feel an energy of something going on. Something's going to come of this, and it's going to be good. I guarantee you, something's the Navajo people, the Hopi, all the native Indians. I want to apologize for any past transgressions of maybe heritage down the line. What the white man did to them when they came here is wrong. It's totally wrong. I'm German ancestry. Most of my family comes from Germany, so I don't think much of my family had anything to do with that. But my hat's off to the Indian Nation. Mad respect all the way around. And once again, we all need to come together.
We do. That's the biggest thing. We need to come together, going from that duality consciousness and just seeing conflict in everything to a unity consciousness and recognizing the divinity that's in every one of us and every person's right to their own pursuit of happiness and
exactly.
their own way of life too, and respect others' way of life and traditions.
Now can I, you're Michael? Are you Michael?
Yes.
Michael, it is a pleasure double measure to talk with you. I hear you all the time. My personal name is Craig, and you'll see me pop up every now and then on your chat. But I'm going to let you go. Get back to doing what you're doing. You're doing an awesome job. And when you do this is not the first time I've seen your call-in show, so to speak. I think I've seen 3 of them. And the people that come in and talk, the people you communicate with, you have a calling, my friend, and I think you found what you need to do, because what you do is awesome. And one other thing I need to know: are these, how can I say it, downloads of information? I don't know where they're coming from. They're not big downloads yet. They're just like little sporadic things. I'm having really vivid, in color dreams that just, I wake up, gotta pinch myself. I look around and wonder, am I really in my truck sleeping, or am I somewhere else? I don't believe I've ever been abducted. I do have some missing time as a youngster, but I've never really correlated it. I'm just waiting for the ascension, man, the awakening of everybody, where we can walk down the street and look at somebody and know their heart is pure and not have to say a word. And it's coming. It's coming sooner than we think. It might take a little longer than others may think, but wow. Hold on to your hats, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Exactly. And yes, well, thank you so much for being part of the family and sharing. And it's great to hear you, Craig. And I think we'll be hearing from you again in the future. And it is downloads. There are tons of downloads going on. Reality's different. Dream time is different too. And I recognize that personally. It's totally different now when you go to sleep than before. And it's almost like the two worlds are getting much closer. It just feels so different.
Kind of like the Mandela effect. Kind of like I've been, looking into some of that stuff and reading up on some of it and watching some of these podcasts these guys got out. Now, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I can sit and pull up a podcast that I've never seen of anybody, and within the first 3 or 4 minutes, I know if I'm going to keep on watching this guy or go on to the next. I believe I'm pretty much part empath, because I sense and know people's inner emotion without them saying. I mean, they can speak to me about, oh yeah, my day's been great, this, that, and everything. I'm gonna go over here to the store. I'm gonna get me some dinner, go home with the wife. All the time they're saying that, I can see through it and know that there's something more going on inside of them. I've pried it out of some people. Some people, I go prying into it and they get like real defensive. It's kind of scary sometimes, because I've done this all my life, not with a knowing aspect that I'm doing it, and it's only been come in the last, I gotta say the last 4 years, 4 to 5 years, that things are just waking up. I'm waking up. I'm seeing things in a whole different perspective. I see things that scare me. And it's like, it looks okay when I'm looking at it, but inside me, I'm looking at it going, something is wrong. This isn't right. We got to do something. And I just want everyone, all you guys in the chat room, peace and harmony to all of you, because the family is strong and the family will go on. And that's all I got to say, Michael. I'm going to let you go back and do what you're doing, man.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig. Thank you so much, brother, for your sharing, and it was a pleasure.
Hey, man, appreciate you letting me talk out here, man. This is awesome. You got to get a Discord chat going, so you can get a side chat going as well.
Yes. Yeah, that is another thing that it's been on the burner for a while.
Yeah, it's not easy, but once you get it going, I've met amazing people through the internet and Discord, and some of the games I played, some of the interactions through the podcast. I think I've got more friends that I can actually call a friend through the internet and through the cyber world than I actually can count on one hand.
That's beautiful. And I agree. I mean, obviously I'm feeling the same with meeting all these wonderful people every day, and making more friendships and making a bigger family, and that's what it's all about.
Right. All right, Michael, go on, man. Get on the next caller, and peace and harmony to you, man. We'll talk to you again another day, another way.
Sounds great. Namaste, brother.
Namaste.
And so that was Craig with his first call in. That was a great call, and there's been so many positive, beautiful calls tonight. So I want to thank everybody for this show, and we will be doing this again shortly. Wonderful night, great subjects, just nothing but love here, and we're going to keep helping each other, going to keep pulling each other up. All this stuff that's going on around us is really kind of secondary. It's really all about what's going on inside us. That's the big part. And so we lift each other up more each day through compassion, love, and sharing. So thank you guys so much. Thank you all, everybody, for their contributions in the super chat. It's so appreciated. Thank you for all the wonderful comments, and thank you for the love, because I do feel it. Good night, my friends. God bless. Stay safe. Namaste.